They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So today I wanted to talk about the Toronto Raptors and Kyle Lowry, because this is a name that we have heard on the trade market over the past couple of weeks and couple of months, and the trade deadline is only a couple of weeks away, so I wanted to look at the possibility that the Raptors might move on from Kyle Lowry, where he could potentially go, and the ramifications of that. So there have been rumors out there for a while that Lowry could be on the move from the Raptors. Even going back to last season, he was on an expiring deal, and they actually signed him to an extension, a $30 million extension for 1 year. So he could have been a free agent at the end of last offseason, but chose to re-sign with the Raptors, come back for another year, and they ended up not trading him. Now they're in a very similar situation where he's an expiring contract for about $30 million. He's getting up there in age, and the difference is that the Raptors are not as good this year, because last season they were still, I believe they finished as the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. They were still a very good team, had a very good record, were still a threat at least to go somewhere in the playoffs and potentially win the title. I don't know. And so they decided to hold on to him and decide to kind of keep the band together and try to make another run at it, even after losing Kawhi Leonard to free agency. Fast forward this season, they're not as good. They're right now, I think, the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference. I mean, things are very close, still packed in tight. They could very easily make a run and get into the playoffs, and I do expect that they still will. But there's a difference here. They're not a title contender. They're probably looking at not quite a full rebuild, because they do still have quite a bit of talent on the roster, but maybe more of a reset where they get rid of some of the veterans and try to get some younger talent in there. So Lowry would be a guy that they would look to probably move on to, and given the fact that he's expiring, getting older, it makes sense, and he's still a very good player. Another team would definitely want him. I think Kyle Lowry is still probably one of the more underrated players in the NBA. He is very, very good. I know he didn't make the All-Star team this year, and the Raptors are not as good, but make no mistake, Kyle Lowry is a very good NBA player still. He is a guy that certainly raises your championship ceiling, and I think there would be a lot of teams out there that would be looking to get a hold of him if he were available. So if the Raptors do make him available for trade, I think they could get a pretty good amount of something back. So let's look at this first destination here. This is the most obvious one, and I think this will probably be the most likely when it comes down to it. Obviously there's other options, but I think Philadelphia, the 76ers become really the ideal destination for Kyle Lowry. Number one, they could use a true point guard. I know that Ben Simmons, plays point guard at times, but they could just slide Kyle Lowry in and, play Ben Simmons at whatever other position. Ben Simmons can play anything. So you just let him play, small forward, power forward, shooting guard, whatever. Just let Lowry slide in at the point. Here you're giving up Danny Green, returns to Toronto, kind of funny, just basically to make the money work. His contract has to be involved. Same with Mike Scott here. You're throwing in Terrence Ferguson, partially to make the money work, partially because he's a young player who might have some value. Matisse Thybulle is also where a lot of this value comes from, and they're giving up their pick next year. I understand that this might seem like a little too much if you're thinking about Thybulle and a first-round pick, but like I said, Lowry is a very good NBA player, and I get that he's expiring and he's old, but this is a move that can turn Philly into a legitimate top-tier title threat. Right now, I think they can win the title as constructed. I think this makes them a lot better. If they made this trade, they would be up there with the Nets in terms of favorites in the Eastern Conference. They would be very, very good. It gives them a chance, and they could probably re-sign Lowry and try to have a 2-3 year window here to try to push for an NBA title. I think this is an ideal move for both sides. Lowry likes, he knows Philadelphia. He's from there, I believe. I know he played his college ball at Villanova, so he's, around the area. And I'm sure that he would love to go back and play there. So I think this makes sense for both sides. If you're Philly, I think you might be a little hesitant to say, oh well, Thybulle and a first round pick, that's kind of a lot. But for me, I think this really puts them in the title conversation firmly, so I would do it. And for the Raptors, getting a young talent like Matisse Thybulle, I think he would thrive in their development system, and that first-round draft pick will probably be, late 20s, but still something. So I think this is good value. I would probably say yes on both sides to this one. So here we have the LA Clippers. Now the Clippers have been rumored for Lowry and for other point guards out there. I think they're looking for a point guard to kind of come in and steady their offense a little bit, because Kawhi and Paul George can handle the ball, but neither of them are necessarily elite playmakers at that position. So if I was them, I'd look to get another, all-star level point guard if I could, obviously. So Lowry is that guy, right? They can bring him in. He also raises the team's championship ceiling, gives them that third star that they've been looking for. And they're not giving up a ton here. The problem with this Clippers trade is that they don't really have any first-round picks at all. The farthest out they can go is 2027. They can trade that pick, but everything else was used for Paul George and other moves that they've made over the past couple of years. So they have no first-round picks left to give up. So I have them giving up that 2027 first rounder, 3 second-round picks, in the near future. Those two are for next year's draft, and then a 2023 second rounder. And then Patrick Beverley, Lowry would be sliding in the lineup to replace him, and you got to put his salary in there anyway. Lou Williams also got to, use his salary to make this happen, and he's getting up there in age too, and hasn't really had as much of a role under Ty Lue as he did under Doc Rivers. So get him somewhere else. Patrick Patterson, again, just to make the money work, and Luke Kennard is another guy who's there to make the money work, and also the Raptors could view him as a project player, a young prospect to bring along. He signed a big deal, signed a big extension with the Clippers and has not played much. He's kind of been relegated to the end of the bench with them. So I think, the Raptors could potentially view him as a guy to, add to their young core, and they would probably use him a little bit more than the Clippers have been to this point. So you might could consider this a win-win because the Clippers are getting off of his contract that they just signed him to, and the Raptors are getting a player who they think can play. And then the Clippers are obviously getting back an all-star level point guard. So I think this one does work for both sides. If I'm the Raptors, I'm concerned about maybe the amount of value I'm getting back. You might be a little tepid on the Luke Kennard contract. You say, I don't know if I want to take on 4 years, however much that is. You are getting a first-round pick in the late future, so 2027, that could actually end up being a very valuable pick. Who knows where the Clippers are going to be in 2027? We'll have to see. Those second-rounders are not much. It's just kind of there to give a little bit of an extra oomph to this package. So if I'm the Clippers, I'm thinking long and hard about this one. Same with the Raptors too. I think on the Clippers side, I would probably say yes to this. The Raptors, I would be a little bit more hesitant. Would have to see what the other offers are, but this is not a bad option for them. Okay, so this last one I have here is from the Miami Heat. We've talked about them in the past couple of videos for potential trade targets somewhere else. The Heat are just going to be major players on this trade market. I've said it before, I think they're going to make a move, and this is one they could potentially do. They might be looking for a point guard out there, looking to upgrade, and adding in Kyle Lowry to go along with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. I think he would pair very well with both of those guys. I think that would be a really, really good three-headed monster, offensive, defensive, everything, all of the above. Those three players are guys who can do it all, and I think they would work very, very well together. So this one, they're giving up Goran Dragic. This is actually, this was a rumor from a couple of days ago that said specifically these three players, Dragic, Olynyk, and Nunn, were discussed in a potential Lowry deal. So I've gone ahead and put them all in here just because this was already rumored. If I was Miami, I would try not to give up Dragic. I would put in Myers Leonard instead, or Andre Iguodala. I think that Dragic would be the guy who you'd want to hold on to. But, just because he was rumored, we put him in here, along with Kelly Olynyk to match the salary. Kendrick Nunn, the Raptors might like him as a young prospect. He seems like the guy that the Heat are most willing to give up in terms of trying to upgrade here, relative to Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, the other young prospects on this roster. They probably want to, ship Kendrick Nunn somewhere else and see what they can get back for him. So He makes up a little value in this trade. I don't think he's worth a ton because he's going to be a free agent, and he's been inconsistent at points. You have the second round pick here and a 2022 first rounder. Put a lottery protection on it just in case, but the Heat will probably be in the playoffs, so it doesn't matter. But I did put a lottery protection on that. I think this is pretty good value for Toronto as well. I would maybe look to get a little bit more just because I don't know how I feel about Kendrick Nunn. That first round pick's not much, and then I put a second rounder in there. You could maybe ask for a couple more second rounders, or maybe try to get something else out of Miami. But I think this is also pretty good value for both sides, considering that the Heat, again, this puts them firmly in the championship conversation. I think this does the same thing for them as it would for Philadelphia. And for the Raptors, you're getting some guys who can play back, Dragic, Olynyk, Nunn. They can all play for you for the rest of the year if you're still trying to be good. And again, those picks for the future might be worth something. So this is, again, I think I would probably say yes on both sides to this one. For the Raptors, though, I don't know. You maybe could get a little more. But yeah, those are 3 destinations for Kyle Lowry if he was potentially to be traded from the Toronto Raptors. Like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell if you want to, leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about this. Could Lowry be playing somewhere else relatively soon? And, that would be kind of weird seeing him in a different jersey. But where would you like to see Kyle Lowry go? Would love to hear your thoughts down below. But with all of that said, I will see you guys in the next one.